I, 16M, have started to call my stepdad, 41M, dad, and my mum, 38F, wants me to stop. TL Doctor. I want to upgrade my stepdad's title from stepdad to dad, but mum thinks this is a way of me replacing my bio dad. How do I convince her that it is not and that I am more comfortable calling him dad? I was the only child of my mum and bio dad, would be 39M. I loved my dad a lot. He took care of me and loved me unconditionally. He bought me gifts just to see me smile and told me off when I was being spoilt and naughty. He's the type of parent every child needs. He was and is still irreplaceable. Sadly, my dad passed away when I was 8. Of course, it affected me, my mum, and our family greatly, but we all got through it. When I turned 10, my mum started seeing stepdad. I will be calling Sid, not his real name. Looking back, he was nothing but nice to me, but I always treated him badly. I didn't like the idea of my mum being with someone else after dad. I used to avoid talking to him, but when I did I was always being disrespectful. Still, he never hated me for how I treated him. It took a while, but I started tolerating him. Sid got married to my mum a year into their relationship. We all started living together and I started warming up to him more and more. Once I turned 13 and they had my half-brother, almost 3 now I think. All my hate for him went away and I started seeing him as a loving father figure. He was a bit more strict than my dad when it came to house rules, but also told me off less than dad used to? Feels contradictory. Over the past years through COVID, we bonded a lot more. It was fun when we clapped for the NHS. It was nice stargazing with him, could actually see a few more stars than just 4 for once. He helped me loads through online learning. He wasn't just my father figure, he is my dad. Up to this point I called him Sid, well, not Sid but his real name. But around 2 months ago I called him dad for the first time. I made it as obvious as possible that I was calling dad just to see a reaction. And I did. He looked so overjoyed. It seemed like he wanted to be called dad by me for such a long time. From then on I started to call him dad a lot more. I still call him Sid out of habit once in a while though. A week ago, my mum seemed to have some trouble with me calling Sid, dad. This felt like it came out of nowhere since she never had a problem with it initially. To be fair, I didn't even think she noticed. Mum said she didn't want to bring it up to Sid because he looked so happy that I started calling him dad, so she just came to me with her concerns and that it sounds weird for me to call him dad. I just brushed it off at the start since even I find it weird. More recently she's been nagging on about it and wants me to stop with it. It got to the point that we had an argument about it. She kept on projecting the idea on me that I was trying to replace my bio dad, which is just not true. I love him but he is dead. He is unable to see me grow up but my stepdad can. And Sid is an amazing dad. I told my mum that I didn't choose Sid to be my dad. She did and she should be happy that I love him to the point of calling him dad. Somehow she understood that as me saying she replaced my dad, but I clearly didn't. At that point she left my room fuming. Sid was out at the time but it seems like he found out from mum about the argument. He came up to me to say that it is fine to not call me dad anymore if it is too much trouble. I could tell that he was hurt, so I guess my mum told him the truth of what was said. It felt like this all came out of nowhere. I wouldn't have minded not calling him dad if I was asked 2 months ago, but now it would feel wrong to not to. Sid is my dad from now on. He won't replace my bio dad. I can have 2 dads. I am rewarding him for being an amazing parent. How do I make my mum understand my feelings? I don't think this is a big deal, so why can't she just be happy? Isn't it usually the other way round, that the stepchild refuses to call the stepparent dad, mum? Sorry for any formatting issues. I am on the mobile app. Tell her that you feel like the luckiest person to have a chance few others do to have not one, but 2 amazing men to call dad. And perhaps frame it as quite similar to a mother having more than one child. Her having a baby wasn't to replace you, obviously. It's an expansion of the family. You have clearly grasped that having younger sibling isn't taking from you, but rather is enriching your life and your appreciation of family relationships then, now, and in the future. You are fortunate to have such maturity. I hope your mother can see that. This is actually none of your mom's business. This is between you and your stepdad. If anything, your mom should be glad that you feel close to your stepdad. It seems like she hasn't finished processing her own grief in some way and is making that your problem, which is not an okay thing to do. Mom, I'm not trying to replace my dad. I'm never going to forget him, but the world keeps spinning and life goes on. You found a great bonus dad for me and gave me a little brother as well. Would you rather I called him my half-brother instead of my brother because we have different dads? Of course, not. You refer to Sid as your husband, right? Just like you called my dad your husband. Do you really think it's better or fair for me to keep that degree of separation with Sid? Be happy that we have a happy blended family. Calling Sid dad also makes us happy. This makes our family stronger. This just proves you chose your husband well. If that doesn't work, make her watch Brad Paisley's music video of He Didn't Have to Be. Maybe she feels guilt for moving on, and is projecting. Or maybe hearing it is just renewing her feelings of grief. Your mom needs to work this out with someone else. If he's good with it and so are you, that is great and what matters. I'm really glad that you have a wonderful stepdad. This is your mom's issue, not yours. Maybe it's her own guilt moving on after your father passed. Don't let her taint your relationship with your stepdad. Call him dad if it makes you both happy. This is pretty ironic because if she thinks calling Sid your dad is replacing your bio dad, then what does she think of marrying another man? With her logic, isn't that also replacing your bio dad? Lol, so she can replace your bio dad but you can't? I don't think this has anything to do with you or him. I'm pretty sure she has some personal shit to go through. If Sid's your dad, and you want to call him dad, then call him dad. 35M, had to escape my 33F girlfriend. Did I do the right thing? Hi y'all. I feel great right now, but unsure if I have gone about things the right way. If you read any of my other posts, you will see that the relationship with my partner was quite toxic. But we kept trying and ended up going away on a holiday together. Things seemed to be okay, until the few nights before the trip we argued again and again. Without writing a novel, on the trip we had a few little arguments but overall it was okay. On the second to last day, in the afternoon I said to her that I wanted to hit the gym for 40 malanes, which left her less than impressed because she said I was being selfish and she wanted to stay by the pool and watch the sunset with me. I said that I would make it back by then, but in the end, I just gave in and thought I can't be bothered to get into an argument and left it and just stayed quiet. She got upset because I stayed quiet, which meant I was not resolving anything, and from there the arguments happened. The night ended up being just arguing and was horrible. We checked out the next day, still nothing resolved. We were taken to the airport along with 2 other people in a van whom started speaking to me and I spoke politely to them. This set my partner off. As we got out, she scolded me saying, "Oh, you can speak to strangers politely but not to me," and then got more and more heightened to the point she started abusing me in public in front of everyone for about 15–20 malanes. I did not want to get on the plane with her, but I did in the end. On the plane, she continued going off at me, swearing at me and continuing on, and I felt mortified. We got off the plane and had a connecting flight home to our home city, which was in lockdown, and I said to her, "There are 2 of us in this relationship and we need to work it out," to which she replied, "Oh, so you're blaming me and not accepting responsibility? That's it, we're done." And she walked off. In that moment, I decided enough was enough and went to the service counter, requested for my bag to be taken off the plane, and I wanted to just leave and be done. Stay away in the city I was in, which was not in lockdown. She came back and saw what I was doing and went off again, violently grabbed my wrist, and I ended up walking off, leaving her crying. She ended up calling me 45 malanes later saying that they've taken her off the connecting flight because she was hyperventilating. She pleaded for me to come back and fly with her as she was scared and didn't know what to do, and I said no, I am not putting up with this behavior anymore. Go back home. She ended up going back home but is now demanding that I come home, whereas I want to stay by myself for a little while. She incessantly calls me, won't get off the phone, and says that she is sorry and accepts her behavior, but she needs me to come home and that I've hurt her and this is so unfair as to how I am treating her and that no one will put up with this. I said to her I need some time to myself, but she is demanding that I come back home as she needs me, and this is so unfair what I am doing to her. I am the point where I want to block her number. Have I handled this correctly, or am I being immature running away? You're handling it perfectly. Do you guys have kids together, or a pet or some other living creature that you have responsibilities to? If not, who the fuck cares how you end this shitty relationship? Getting off a flight when your travel partner is acting insane is the correct thing to do. By all means, block the crazy person's number and go do something fun. Her behavior is unacceptable and childish. You shouldn't put up with that. She's 33. If you need to block her number, do it. Give yourself the space to breathe and begin the healing process. Though it sounds like it won't take long considering how free I bet you feel now. Do whatever you need to for yourself to get through it, and then head home and continue life as a single man. Good luck to you. It's never easy, but you have to think of your mental and physical health and safety first. It has been an hour since your last comment, and in this space of time, I hope you have blocked her number, turned on a show or gone out and ordered some food. Take a deep breath, don't think about her for a while, just breathe deeply and do something enjoyable. You did the right thing. Dude, stay strong. You said if right, relationships are two people, both need to communicate and work together. If you both can't make it one trip without letting stuff go to have a relaxing time, then the relationship is in trouble, and if she won't listen to try to save it, let her go and find someone you can work with. Run away as far as you can. Abusive relationships last as long as they do because someone tries to rationalize the abuse as salvageable because they would never treat someone that badly, and eventually the abuser will see that and change. This is absolutely perfect example. You trying to get distance and hopefully doing the right thing, and her using it as you being ridiculous for not coming home. You are second-guessing a perfectly reasonable solution and her being so loud and crazy with no real reason to. Just think how happy you will be when you meet someone who treats you well. She abused you. Then says a lot of I statements. Then she said no one will put up with you. Dude, do not go back to her. Just go stay somewhere else if you don't have pets. I commented on your post 2 months ago or so. I said she would escalate, that it wouldn't get better, and seems it followed that path unfortunately. You should feel secure in your choice to not return back with her. You've done the right thing. I hope you'll block her and quickly start the process of what you need to do to move out if you live together. ETA. Also, she seems to think that you guys are not broken up, that she can just guilt you into coming back and feeling that you are at fault. I would try to make that clear that it is over, with caution of course, because she might up the theatrics. My boss, 45 male, told me he hired me only because I'm pretty, 15 female. Please read my update. When I was at the job interview he told me that he was simply debating whether he would hire me or not, and I was under the impression that I was the only person he called to interview. He said that even though I'm young and have never worked before, I have a very pretty and charming face, which he saw in my job application profile, which is why he wanted to hire me. He said it would attract more customers and cheer up employees. I'll be a waitress. I'll be the youngest employee and one of the only girls. The average employee is between 19-24 and male. All my friends are worried. They think it is creepy. Work also ends quite late at around 11 p.m. Some nights earlier, around 7. I couldn't start yet because of lockdown. It could also be a language barrier as English isn't his first language. I'd also have to change into uniform at work. Should I be worried? Correction. I'm not sure if we'd get to change before coming to work, as I could have misunderstood. I think we have the option to change at work, but of course it isn't mandatory, I would assume. Edit. I already accepted the job. I couldn't start as the week I got it lockdown began. Update. I'm not sure what I'll do 100% as lockdown hasn't ended, but this is what I have decided in general. 1. I'll work at this job only as a in-between, before I can get a better job that is during daytime. I believe I know someone who might be able to get me a barista job. 2. If I don't feel safe at work, I'll stop there, and then 3. I'll make sure to not send off the wrong idea to my boss or coworkers and be distant. Thought I'm aware they shouldn't be weird in the first place. 4. I'll keep track of everything and tell my friends and family where I am and when. 5. I will not change at the restaurant. If they tell me I can't change somewhere else, I will stop on the spot, as that is very strange. 6. I am now aware of what is an ISNT right and AL significant other know my value. I will not put myself at risk under any circumstance, I promise everyone. If I feel uncomfortable at any moment, I will leave, and I will not be naive or deceived by nice behavior. Thank you to everyone who took time to comment and help. Heart. Also, I repeat, I am in lockdown. I won't be able to work for a few extra weeks at the very least. Ps. My workplace is near a friend's workplace and another friend's house at the very worst scenario, and this area is quite busy, so I feel safe in public. My family is also protective and will make sure I get home safe and that nothing bad happens to me, so friends are really my last resort if needed. I'm quite overwhelmed. I'm sorry if I don't reply to comments. As a 27M who's worked as a chef for 10 years, I've worked with a lot of creeps. This is a huge red flag given your age and the fact that he's in charge. I would be very careful if I were you, my dear. Yes, you need to be careful and keep your parents informed. Also, I would seriously consider taking this job. If you take this job, do not be on night shift. Him alone. Lie and say your parents won't let you work after 8:30 p.m. or something. I wouldn't take this job. Do not change into uniform at work. I see absolutely no justification for why this would have to be a thing at a restaurant. Be careful. It's not normal for a boss to say that to anybody, and especially not to some this young. I wouldn't take the work if you fear him he do something. He already told you, a 15-year-old girl, you are pretty, in a sexual way. And that why you want you to work for him. Creep for sure. Huge freaking creep. He's basically telling you that he's going to try and groom you. Absolutely talk to your parents. My advice: don't work there. Call him and say, sorry. You will not be working there. There is no good end to this. I know he may seem friendly and caring, but that is creepy as hell. Are there any other female employees that you can ask what your boss is like? Even the male employees might have something to say. Be very careful here. It is not normal for a boss to talk about how attractive a 15-year-old girl is. Reading your post, I didn't get any red flags until you stated that you had to change into your work uniform at work. Why? Is this something related to just not having the time between school and work to go home and change, or was this something you were told by your employer? As for being hired simply because you were pretty, there are a lot of people who want pretty, charming when it comes to customer service positions. So, that alone is not uncommon. But why you have to change at work needs to be answered. BF's dad still sees me as temporary 6 years in. So I, F25, been dating my boyfriend, M24, for 6 years. We are each other's first partner, and his father, a divorced dude. This will become relevant later, doesn't really like me. For the first 2 years, he pretty much ignored me entirely, even at the family events that my boyfriend, not his father, invited me to. I'm sure he was assuming that I, the first girlfriend, would be a temporary fling, which is a totally reasonable assumption. But here we are 6 years in and he's still acting like that. He doesn't even try to get to know me, as if he thinks I'm going to be out of the picture tomorrow. To make matters worse, on multiple occasions since we started dating, he suggested to my boyfriend that he should experience other people. My boyfriend has always insisted that we are very happy in our relationship, and has asked him to stop, but even so he persists. Now, I totally acknowledge that his advice of seeing other people before you settle down with someone is valid. It's actually a really good advice. But for me, it seems very silly for me to abandon my very happy, healthy relationship, just to see if the grass is greener on the other side by chance. I'm pretty sure he's projecting his life experience onto his son, and that's what's motivating this. See, he got divorced about 10 years ago from my boyfriend's mother, and the two of them didn't really date anyone before getting married. So I totally get the parallels. It's just that at a certain point, I feel like you really need to accept your kid's choice and be respectful and polite. Anyone else experienced anything like this? Am I being irrational here? 19 years with my partner and my dad still sees him as temporary. I have no idea how to quote it, but you answered it for yourself. He's projecting onto his son. He probably needs counseling of some kind, but that is neither you nor your boyfriend's roles. If your relationship is happy, healthy, comfortable and still chugging along, don't let him sour it with his issues. Accept that he may never come around. But you can always quietly hope he will. Take care. Heart. My husband's father was the same way, projecting his insecurities onto his son and our relationship. We're much older than you and we're able to go and see. If he can't accept that his son isn't him, then I guess he won't meet his granddaughter, is how I put it. If you two continue and his father continues to gaslight both of your intentions, distancing yourself may become an option in the future. My mill was like that for about 13 years or so. It got to the point that I would give that beach the old gray rock treatment. One day it came to a head unexpectedly, and she was actually very receptive to hearing about my perspective. She listened to my now wife as well. We were only engaged the time, and apologized. I was quite surprised, and while I didn't buy her reasoning, she did commit to changing. Since then she mostly just leaves me alone rather than being antagonistic. I don't deliberately ignore her anymore either. We can be pleasant, but I don't really care to take it further. Took me about 4 years dating my now husband and 2 years of marriage to him to convince husband's dad that I am not temporary. Sometimes the family just projects their insecurities on you and there's nothing you can do. Keep thriving in your relationship and don't take the dad's comments to heart. The best thing you can do is stop caring what this man thinks of you. My parents have been together since they were about 17. Sometimes the first one is the true one. 12 years and a child in and my mill still pretends I don't exist, and I don't expect she ever will. It's been almost 5 years since we've spoken to each other and Hubs is very, very low contact with her. Think a 10-minute phone call every 6 months or so. Boyfriend's dad is projecting. 100% if it bothers y'all enough, boyfriend should set dad straight. If dad still can't act right, maybe it's time to take a break from visiting. Good luck op.